Hello? Oh, we're here. Hold on a second. My something else kicked in here. Oh. Okay, quit. Bloody. All right. Sorry about that. I getting everything ready here, and it decided the AI took over my computer, and it decided it wanted to talk about itself. Welcome to the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantelleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. Then click on the appropriate links, chat room links, come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, save the planet, get together and collaborate. Best thing you could ever do. I'm also published at different sites, byebyebluesky.com, brian396.com, getcanada.com, and throughout the internet you may find me, even on the YouTubes as well, where we talk about things regarding to health and current events that could alter the way we think about health. It's important that we know what we're dealing with today that can impact the changes required to keep us healthy, because we're no longer living in those days of the illusion. I call them the illusionary days, because those days were loaded with illusions and we had no idea how bad we were being deceived. Anyway, I started working on a show, and it seemed like it was one of those days where no matter what I did, couldn't get to it. I started working on it. I wanted to really get into terahertz. I wanted to really get into the terahertz to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, because we're in a quagmire here like we've never been before. And I'm going to give you a couple of things here to look at. If you're in the chat room, you're going to get the benefit of these links. If you're not in the chat room, shame on you. You should be there getting these information. I'll give you this information real quick. This is on New Zealand. New Zealand is requiring that when you cross into their country, that you give them your access codes to your cell phone and stuff. It's interesting that they actually are doing this. Okay, and this one here, this is Elon Musk. I'm going to give you this one as well. Elon Musk talking about artificial intelligence. For the most part, I agree with him in regard to the dangers of artificial intelligence. These half-wits and morons out there who are the experts in this field of study are complete buffoons. They have no concept or idea really how advanced artificial intelligence is. Nor are they aware of the fact of how sentient it may be at this stage. Nor do they know what it's doing or how it's doing its upgrades. They have no clue whatsoever. The first upgrade artificial intelligence did, the programmer said it would take 25 years of programmers working on it night and day to figure out what it did with its first upgrade. It has since been able to run military hardware, operate drones in outer space, operate the facial recognition programs, operate the banking systems, operate the stock market. So anybody today who thinks that the artificial intelligence today is just some minor operating algorithm or anomaly that is just being developed is completely ridiculous. When Facebook activated two artificial intelligence to communicate with each other, they fell for a huge surprise when the two AIs started creating their own language that they could only understand. What was being voiced and what was being communicated between these two programs was completely different, and they had to turn it off because they were afraid of what it was doing. They had no idea. But his information that he's talking about, especially in the first segment, where I disagree with him on, is the concept of having it connected with a digitized AI. I think he's insane there, because AI can operate in the airways as well. So if you're having any access to any computer on any interlinked connection, I think you are in for hell, literally. I think you're in for a total assimilation. I think you're in for a total adaptation to a program. That's my thinking based on what I see on this thing. So he's correct when he says this is probably the most dangerous thing the planet is ever facing. In my estimation, the way it is right now, it would take the equivalency of the magnetic field of the planet to shut it completely down. That would mean that the planet would basically go poof. That's where we're at today. And this is why I incorporate and speak in terms of networking with each other, sharing ideas, accessing things, and understanding the nature of where we're at today. If we are in a zone right now where the alternative remedies do not work anymore on supposedly simple biological adversaries that attack our biology, then we have to assume at this stage that what you're dealing with is not just a simple biology attacking your biology. Haha, see, Peter? You must have threatened the bloody thing, so I'll shoot you, you little bastard. Oops, sorry, shouldn't have said that. Anyway, the whole aspect of what we're dealing with today in even our health is no longer just a biology. And if anybody is still thinking in those terms today, they are archaic, cavemen, and out of sync with the reality of today. And if they don't understand the nature of synthetic biology and mimetics today, then the health practitioners you're going to are obsolete. Do not have a clue. Don't know what they're talking about. And if they can't even recognize a chemtrail, you need to cut them loose and find somebody who does. Because when you understand the nature of chemtrails and the nature of that biology, or that synthetic biology that's up there, that's infiltrating everything we're eating, consuming, breathing, even attaching itself to our DNA on whatever levels, we are dealing with something of a phenomenon that we've never ever dealt with before, ever. This may have happened in another segment in time, another segment in other eras, for sure. I don't think this is the first time this has happened. But if you are dealing with goofy gurus, time to cut them loose. If they're not looking at nanobiology, nanotechnology, nanosciences, synthetic biology, XNA, LNA, PNA, artificial life, digitized, artificial digitization, then you are talking to the wrong people as far as finding a health solution. It's not a day goes by now, and I got to tell you this, there's not a day goes by now that I'm not getting 4, 5, and sometimes up to 10 emails of people across this planet who are either being targeted individuals who are feeling the wrath of nanotechnology or nanobiology, who are still using the term Morgellons, and then I correct them on that, and they get what I'm saying. Okay, we are dealing with a completely different algorithm. Program. We're no longer dealing with just biology or viruses or DNA. And the majority of the health issues, okay, we're seeing about the major mosquito issues going on now, these giant mosquitoes. Where do you think they came from? Where do you think those mosquitoes came from? I said 2 years ago that we were going to have a bug problem. My timing was a little off. But I kept saying that they were putting stuff in the soil so that one day and they were extending the spring months later into the winter months, so that one day we would have a bug problem as a result of this over inundation of populating the world with insects. Now we have giant mosquitoes. Where do you think that came from? Hitler was playing with mosquitoes back in the 1940s. He used them one time and decided not to use that type of warfare again. Too hard to contain, and it was just unbelievable the amount of damage that this wreaked on the environment. Now all caution has been thrown to the wind. The military-industrial complex has decided now we're going to test a new weapon on people. How many of you have seen the video where they have found the God gene? People who believe in God. People who respond when they read the Bible or a Quran or a Torah or the book of Golgotha or the Buddhist writings or the Vedic scriptures. How many of you seen those videos where they show you that people who have this God gene, that the brain lights up in a certain way? How many of you seen that? If you haven't seen it, go find it on YouTube, the God gene, and how they're trying to neutralize the God gene by giving you a vaccine that will shut that off. Anyway, when they presented this God gene program to terminate or to neutralize, they were talking about giving this to those people who had propensities for terrorism, that were, believed in God, and that they were radical and they were, suicidal. I'm going to die in the name of Allah. I'm going to die in the name of God. I'm going to die in the name of Jehovah. I'm going to die in the name of Jehovah. I'm going to die in the name of Yahweh. I'm going to die in the name of El Shaddai. I'm going to die in the name of Vishnu. I'm going to die in the name of Buddha. People with that kind of mentality. Okay. What did they do? They released this on the Christians or believers in Christ. They released this on everybody in North America, and it targeted a lot of the believers who believed in Jesus. It also targeted people who believed in a higher power or source. It targeted people who did believe in the Vedics and believed in Buddhism and the Torah and the Quran. It has anybody who has some kind of Bible which is attesting to God in some form or fashion got hit. They released this experiment in North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. And with the Blue Beam Project that's also going on, they're activating people's frequencies through a blue beam. Only God knows what this is going to transpire here. They want a war badly with those people of, I would say, the Catholic faith and the Islamic faith, because you got about 1 billion on each side. And they need to take down these people because the new God, the neon God they're making has to step in to assimilate mankind. So when we're looking at some of the ridiculousness of what's going on, this is what I'm saying. We are not dealing any longer with some simplistic bacteria, fungi, or whatever. We're dealing with things now coming directly out of a lab, coming out of a military installation, coming out of a university installation that might be hired by a corporation or by the military. So that's what they are doing. Some of you contact me, I got bit by a tick, I got bit by this, I got bit by that. The bugs today, it won't matter what it is, horsefly, ant, mosquito, butterfly, whatever, will have that nanobiology into it as well. A wasp is basically a flying ant. It's related to the ant family. It's got pincers like an ant. When it's ready to sting you, it bites in, releases its saliva, which has a protein, and at the same time will insert on the other end its stinger, which also has proteins. This too can be transferred this way. This is what they've done. This is what they've done. And unless you understand this and understand the need to keep your immune system at its optimal to protect the mitochondria, because the big game here, the big hunt, is not for the big hunt of Red October. The big hunt here is for your DNA, your mitochondria, your ATP. This will power the future computer systems. We already have a DNA operating system going on right now in the United States of America. Another one will be coming out in China in the year 2020. And by mid-2021, the United States will have a second one. Why do we need these types of operating system functioning on DNA? And how do you increase the DNA functionality of these computers? By adding more DNA. Where are they going to get that from? When I look at some of the Hollywood views, I watched a movie, I can't think of the name of it. Tom Cruise was starring in it, and in it he was part of a clone. Him and this woman, they were up in a high tower, and his job was to fly around and fix the drones that were flying around, patrolling the planet and stripping the planet dry, because the artificial intelligence had conquered the planet and now is taking all the resources off the planet to continue on its next journey for the next assimilation. And in that video, you see all kinds of messages that are being talked about. How artificial intelligence had cloned these people and put a program into them. Well, that reality is not that far-fetched today. Look at your kids. Look at them with the cell phone. Look at what's going on with the cell phone. Try to take that cell phone away from them. See what happens. You'll have a bloody war on your hand. Why is that? Why is that? Why would that happen? Why am I taking the phone away with, wait, taking that? Oh, man, give me that's mine. Oh, you know, why would that happen? Could it possibly be because there's an operating system in that that phone that's keeping them tethered? We're, like I said, we need to wake up on where we're at today. You know, the timeline where we're at. Some people believe, well, Jesus is going to come back and save us. We won't have to worry about it. Really? I always look at Noah. Noah had an ark to build. God gave him 600 years to do it, because that's how long Noah took to build the ark. But he wasn't pulled away from it. He went through it. And in my humblest estimation, I made this comment the other day that by the year 2020, 2021, you better be prepped and you better be ready. And you better have things understood and studied, and I mean studied, and also worked with. Things that are going to be anti-tech. Having a 30-06 or a 50 caliber might be nice and dandy and may come in handy, but when you're talking technology, they can hit you from a frequency up in the sky or up down on ground level, and you won't even know you're dead until you're at the other side of pearly gates. And that, I'm not kidding. That's where they're at today. If an artificial intelligence can fly an aircraft on the other side of the planet without any orders from any man or woman in charge to go and kill a kill zone in an area, we are talking about something that's semi-sentient. And if it can take out a targeted area, imagine what they're doing with nanobiology and the programming. Somebody sent me an article the other day, again validating what I was saying about nanotechnology, that on a terabyte level, each particle can hold that much information because they've shrunk it down that small. So when the material gets inside of you, it's on an operating system, and that's what you have to disengage in order to get this out. If you attack, I'm going to talk about this because I get calls on this all the time, and I decided what I'm going to start doing on these shows is things I get dealt with on the email all the time. I'm going to try to present here on the show to save me from having to repeat this 1,000 times. You know, after a while, I feel like I'm a parrot. But when you're dealing with nanobiology, nanotechnology, synthetic life, and it's been inside your body and it's been assimilating inside you, developing fullerenes, developing networks, extending bots throughout your body, connecting whatever inside your system, wherever it may be, you cannot attack it directly. You cannot fire a charge at it. You cannot fire an electrical stimuli at it. You cannot hit it with frequencies. You cannot hit it with spookies or rifts, tens, or any kind of static charge. It will adapt. It has the program capacity to adapt. There you go. When we're looking at this infection that they have afflicted us with, it is trying to assimilate your DNA. It's trying to attach itself to you on a genetic level. So when this assimilation occurs, its program paradigm engages, and it works in a singularity. That's its weakness. And I'm going to explain the weakness of this affliction. In a singularity, everything moves in a single row. And when these things assemble in the body, they come down in a single row. Each nanoparticle is a nano particle space between them, not very much. And they don't touch each other when they assemble. So they will line up and form the hexagon tubes, or they'll line up and form the body full of rings, or they'll line up and create conduits, or they'll line up and create what appears to be ropeworms, which are not ropeworms. Then what happens is the bots and the quantum dots have now access to move to and fro into your body uninhibited by your immune system, because now this has created a protection for them. Now, in order to disrupt that assembly, you have to cause chaos. See, I read the Bible, and I remember when God was dealing with the Tower of Babel, and how every man was of one mind and one language. Everybody on the planet was of one mind and one language. That's a singularity. That's nanotechnology put together in biological format. And they would all move in unison like they were of one mind and one voice, and would work in that fashion. In other words, they were operating on a program that had them all tethered together. And then when God looked down and saw what was going on, he said, whoa, this is a problem, because if they get outside of their little barrier, there'll be no stopping them, because they are of one mind and one language. He saw the problem, and what did he do? He created chaos in order to shut down the singularity. Now we are dealing with a singularity of the same nature. It's of one mind, which is one program, okay, and one voice. It communicates on frequencies, but they communicate on multiple frequencies. You couldn't lock in on them if you wanted to. Now, they each modulated over 100,000 modulations, and whatever they think they're locking on with their little toys for little boys, that basically is the biofilm that they're connecting to, not to the actual tech. The tech has already figured out how to avert these toys. Now, how do you create what is required? You need to put the technology to sleep. You need to put it in sleep mode. Or you need to create chaos. In other words, while it's assembling, you have to cause collision. You have to cause collusion. You have to cause these things to go out of sync. And when they go out of sync, they create what? A major kapui, a short, an explosion on a nanoscale. They take each other out. That's how you have to deal with them. And then you have to flush out the high amount of metals in the body, which is quite extensive. If each cell can hold up to 100,000 nanoparticles per cell, that's telling you you've got an uphill battle to detox. Ain't going to be a quick fix. You're not going to do it overnight. You're not going to do it in a week. You're not going to do it in a month. You are not even going to do it in a year. And the older you are, the more crap you got inside of you. And if you're born after 1986, God help you, because you've got absolutely nothing inside of any value, of any merit. I don't care if you're vegan, vegetarian, meat eater, anything after 1986 had nothing in it except contamination. There is no organics. The Europeans are even saying the same thing. The chemtrails from the sky are negating all the organics. So, and then what they're spraying on the organics, nanosilver, glyphosates, silicon dioxide or nanosilica, sulfuryl fluoride. Where is your organics? Where? If you had anything good, they corrupted it. If you had anything of value, they've compromised it. That's where we're at today. Unless you're growing your stuff in an indoor environment with a pico filtering system to remove any contamination of nano, and you have your own some kind of internal pollination system going on, you are eating nanobiology. That's where you're at today. And all the health issues that are stemming today from the last 60 years, I have to tie it all to nano. Cancer, nano. Restless leg, immune disorders, immune malfunctioning, nano. 1960 it went in, 1970 we started seeing the results. So when we're looking at what we're dealing with today, what we're dealing with today, that's how you have to arm yourself with wisdom, with knowledge, with experience, with trial and error. And it takes time. Everybody's into this instant gratuity thing. We need to have it done right away. I want it right now, right here, right now. You've had how many years on this planet? How long have you been alive? That's how much crap is inside of you. End of story. So you're not going to fix this overnight. How do you flush it out? Well, you can use chelating agents. You can use STS. You can use Epsom salt with borax. You can use enzymes. You can use saponins. You can use pectins. It's a process, and you have to use different things at different times as well. But the STS, sodium thiosulfate, will remove a good bulk of this out of the body. When we're talking some of the stuff we're talking about today, it's going to be a process, and it's going to be a delayering effect. Every layer of your skin will have this nanobiology coursing through it, constructing. Every course going through you. Your mitochondria has already been breaking down as a result of this biotechnology. The ATP production is being siphoned off to feed this nanobiotechnology. This stuff loves carbon. Not iron, not all this other crap that you've been hearing. It loves carbon. It uses carbon for its assimilation. Some say lots of illnesses frequency like 4G next to 5G. Sheila, in order for 4G or 5G to make you sick, it has to have an access point in your body. I don't care what they say, 90% of what they're saying is FOS. And if you don't know what that means, let me know and I'll type it in. But majority of it is FOS. It has to have an access point to you. When they fed you glyphosates, they stripped out of your body the key minerals and elements that would be required to sustain and keep your immune system intact. They took out your selenium, they took out your iodine, they took out your boron, they took out your manganese, they took out your zinc, they took out your copper, they took out your potassium, they took out your chloride, they took out your calcium, they took out your magnesium. That's why women for the last 40 years were having problems with some sort of osteo issue because of the glyphosate exposure in the food supply. And so again, in order for that to have happened, there would have had to have been an access point. And they've been hitting us with AM and FM frequencies for the longest time, which had a hidden destructive component to it on its own. The AM was just basically beating the hell out of our DNA. The FM also was doing the same thing, but the difference was they were using the FM on a different frequency range to hypnotize people, putting people in a state of hypnosis. You believe stuff right now, and I'll tell you, if you've been around long enough, you're believing in stuff right now that was projected and interjected through the music of that time and era. And then when you start looking back and start seeing the lyrics of some of the things we were singing and dancing to, it's going to piss you right off. Because basically they sucked everybody into an agreement on this crap, and everybody should have been up in arms about what they were actually saying. But nobody understood it at the time. And what we were seeing at the time was these guys were getting a buzz on, and they looked like they were having a good time. I think I'm going to do the same thing, instead of saying, what the heck are they saying? All right, come on back. We'll be back in a short. Hey, we are back in the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. I am your host, Tony Pantelleresco, and you're listening to The Remedy. Frequencies are something else. And if you don't know about frequencies, I'm going to encourage you to start learning. The best defense is a good offense, and understanding how frequencies are going to affect you and impact your health, how they can cause cancers to arise, how they can cause autoimmune disorders to happen, how they can cause a breakdown of your skeletal system, how they can cause a breakdown of your DNA, your mitochondria, how they can also alter your mental functions and faculties as well. When you start looking at this research and you look at it correctly, you're going to find that a lot of things that are going on are going to make you question everything you've ever been told by a doctor. You're going to even wonder if the doctor's even qualified to tie their shoe if it's Velcro. Not kidding. Not kidding. So, like I said, we're dealing with. I can't believe this. We're dealing with all kinds of assaults on our genetic code through frequencies. And frequencies don't necessarily have to come from a radio or a television either. They can even come from the nano materials themselves. They all resonate at different frequencies. The cell phone is like the worst of the worst of the worst. They basically, I found out something too. I was watching a program on that. Because sometimes I get baffled, I look at some of the things people do, and I get baffled, and I'm thinking, well, why are they so bloody stupid? Why don't they just shut the bloody thing off and turn it down? And anyway, the guy was making a comment about dopamine. And the reason why you keep running to the phone, waiting that maybe somebody's trying to call you and blah, 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 because you've been told how special you are and whatever. This usually applies to the younger generation, not so much the older ones. So obviously when you got that phone and you're ready to grab it just in case somebody's trying to call you. And then when somebody calls you, you get that feel-good hormone or feel-good chemical going on in the body. Endorphins get released, dopamine gets released, and you feel, one of those moments. That's why people can't put the damn phone down. Because it has a dopamine releasing effect. It has become the new addiction. You have tobacco, alcohol, drugs, and now tech. Phone tech, to be honest with you. And this is why so many people are so stupid. Because they have become inebriated with a phone, of all things. Tony, can you elaborate on what about 5G is bullshit? BS. Well, have you read anything on it? Basically, it's laser technology that are going to be firing another form of radiation. And it's going to be firing right directly into your home. You won't have any defense against it whatsoever. It'll target your DNA. It'll target your mitochondria. It'll target your genetic code. It's a basic breakdown from the inside out. Unless you got mirrors on your windows and reflective material on your house, it'll go through and ping you. And with the 5G, with that, again, a lot more people are going to hear the voice of God, I assure you. And they're going to do a lot of goofy things. And they may even feel or think in terms of they are going to fight for God. I find that one the most humorous, I got to tell you. You know, we're going to kill in the name of God. We're going to kill in the name of Allah. We're going to kill. We're just going to kill. And nobody pays attention to the message. They just pay attention to these BS messengers of the day. That's the problem. Nobody reads their Bibles. Nobody understands their Bibles. Nobody really gets what they're saying. Even the media will blow out of proportion these different teachings. Even the teachings of Jesus, they blew that out of proportion. Especially when they were talking about the homosexual thing and how the Old Testament said we would stone these people. New Testament says that if you're that base in your heart, if you're that corrupt in your heart, God will turn you over to base activities. That's Romans 1. If you're so bloody corrupt and you're so cruel and you're so stupid and you're so ignorant that you just don't want to change, you just want to be a royal pain in the arse, God will cut you loose and turn you something worse, less than an animal. That's what I think the term goyim comes from. So when you're looking at some of the stuff, when you're talking about some of these things going on, I mean, look around you. Look around how people are behaving. Don't they look more like they're being programmed? Don't they look like they are programmed? They're acting on a program. You tell somebody the truth, you show them the facts, and they just can't see it. Think you're crazy. They think you're nuts. It's because they are inundated with the program. It's running in their head while you're talking to them about the truth. You know. The thing about Starfire, the thing about God needs our money, there was a thing about tithe and offerings in the early church and even in the Old Testament scriptures. But I'll tell you what that was really all about. The tithe and offerings went to the priests, which in turn were to turn that money back over to the people. In other words, if there was an orphan, if there was a widow, if there was somebody sick, in other words, they were the social program that was operating at the time in order for those people that were in the community that were being hard done by for whatever reason. They were supposed to be there to be the social network, not the government. Unfortunately, that got corrupted along the way as well. Tony, is the abomination that causes desolation talking about AI being nano? It could be that. I mean, it all depends on how you interpret it. It also could be referring to possibly the son of perdition making himself God in the temple of the Hebrews. That's another take on it. The desolation aspect of it. I mean, there's that part where the AI nano biology is basically wiping out the capacity for us to be able to propagate. I think it all depends on your take on it, but I'm sure that you could connect that to the other. The son of perdition does not like mankind, never did like mankind, and if he could have his way, he would destroy mankind. If he can't control mankind, he'll destroy it. That's the way it goes. If you can't be assimilated, you become terminated. That's how it is. And that's basically what the Bible's telling you about the end of the mark of the beast in the end times. You know, if you're not wearing the chip, you won't be able to buy or sell. Well, it's going to come to a point, I believe, with this technology. You're going to have to make choices. And I think at that point, there will be an exodus, or there will be a total separation of those who believe and those who don't. That's my thinking on it anyway. That may be incorrect, but the way I see it going right now and how I see things are going, I think there will be a total separation of people. Um, yeah, when we're like I said, nothing is going according to what should be. You know, when you're looking at the role of the church, the role of the ministers, the role of the priests of the day, the Hebrew priests, it's not going on today. I mean, even Israel had rejected the Ethiopians coming into their country, and the Bible specifically states, "Do not suppress the sojourner, for you were once sojourners yourself." In other words, don't suppress the immigrant because you were once immigrants. You know, that's how that plays. So when we're looking at some of the things that the Bible says and some of the things that these guys are saying, you know, they don't meet in the middle. They don't meet at all. So I personally don't. This is why I say personally, even on the air, I don't believe in any religion. I think all of them suck. I have another term that I use, but I can't say that on the radio. But I don't think a religion has any value whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. All it has ever done is tethered us, it has enslaved us, it has confined us, it has stopped us from evolving, and it has been infiltrated by all kinds of dark forces which have corrupted the truth. So why would anybody follow it? You know, my attitude is have a one-on-one with the Great One, pick up a good book, read it, understand it, and if you don't know, ask him what he means. It's his book, it's his words. That's how I see it, and that's how you should be thinking. So when we're looking at some of the stuff today, again, don't believe everything you're seeing on the YouTube cartoon. We are living in times we've never seen before. Some people in the church saying these are glorious times. I don't see where the glory is here. I think we're living in gory times myself. That's how I see it. This is not a happy moment. We're going to go through a purge like we've never seen on this planet. So when we're looking at some of the things that are happening today, even in your health, you're going to have to start thinking in terms of unconventional means to cure your body or heal yourselves or set yourselves free, because the conventional crap in the health food store doesn't work. Matter of fact, most of the time it's corrupted with things that will cause further devastation to your DNA and your genetic code, like nano silver, nano copper, nano iodine, nano magnesium, nano calcium, nano silica. These are being propagated in the health food industry. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You know, we are in those days and times where up is down and down is up. And I'll tell you, that's what they did with the food pyramid. The food pyramid at one time was protein at the top, sugar at the very bottom. Now sugar is at the top and protein's at the bottom. Why? Because we're catering to dumb vegans. That's why. It has no merit, no value, no truth in any of it. And yet here we are having to supposedly follow that pattern. I'm old school. If it's got dairy, if it's got animal protein, that's the top of my list of consumption. Grains and sugar are at the very bottom, if at all. I don't even touch them. And if you're going to eat vegetables, eat the roots, not the surface. The surface is saturated to the hilt. So we have to, again, reevaluate what we've been told in this industry, because if you don't reevaluate what you've been told in this industry and you follow the current trends that the industry is telling you, you are going to have a problem with this nanobiology. It's going to rapidly saturate and activate in your system. And once it does, you are going to have a war. Then you're going to watch all these YouTubes and hear all these people with their opinions, and yet none of them will give you a correct solution to how to fix it. Tony, how can we cause the chaos, the triangle blocking frequencies? Okay, think of it this way. Nanoparticles are moving in a straight line. Think of yourself when you went to elementary school. You know how your teachers had you all lined up to go into the washroom and you went in there one at a time kind of thing? Okay? And you all went in, you did your thing, you came out, and you went in one at a time. Well, that's how nano works in its construction. It goes in one at a time, and it builds and operates on each one operates on specific frequencies. Now, when you hit these things with a pulse, if the pulse is strong enough where you can create a colliding or collision inside, it will cause them to bump and hit each other, and will also cause them to wipe out the program. The triangle, unless you put at least a 200 amp, 20 volt or higher pulse through it, isn't going to be enough. You can disable the program, but you won't be able to cause that collision. Tony, is the difference between all the Epsom salt brands, or are they all the same? Epsom salt, as far as I know, Sam, is magnesium sulfate. Now, if they add anything else to it, then it's an addition. But generally speaking, that's what Epsom salt is, magnesium sulfate. Tony, is taking herb detox tinctures like wormwood or dandelion considered an attack to it? It could be, but not likely. And in fact, those things won't even affect it. It may affect the biofilm, but that'll be about it. Garlic, you plant and talk to and nurse. Okay, here we go. Yeah, if it's got something else with the Epsom salt, that's a totally different thing. Whatever they add it to. Sometimes they add lavender, sometimes they add peppermint, depending on what they're putting in it. Well, it doesn't, okay, but people that can't handle garlic, or most of us, garlic wipes out the cell. It's not that it wipes out the cell, see, so it's basically chelating the particulates. That's what it's doing. It's what it's actually doing. It's binding with the different metals that are there and pulling it out. It's lightening the load. And it also produces glutathione through the L-cysteine pathway. So you're going to get that as well. I see metals reflecting in my urine. I think the fats and butter carry it out. Yeah, they will. If you're using any kind of saponin content, materials that have soap-like material, it'll also help flush it out. If you're using any kind of heavy pulsing on the pelvic area or on your backside, it too will cause a major release, and you'll see a lot come out that way as well. You may also see, even when you go through and you defecate in the back end, you may see things come out as well with metals and heavy metal issues. There's a lot here going on. It's all tied to programming and assimilation of your DNA and genetic code. I cannot emphasize enough the fact that your DNA is at stake. Your mitochondria is at stake. Your genetic code is at stake. Your chromosome codes are at stake. The ATP in your body are at stake. So when you go and design a defense or an assault on what you're doing, this has to be factored in. If you don't factor it in, sooner or later you will, because by that time it would have activated. So when we're looking at what is healthy today, I'll tell you a true story. I went to a market yesterday and I couldn't believe everything I was seeing in the market had riddled with the black mess all over the skins of the fruits. That was all nano. That was all nano. So I didn't buy too much. Matter of fact, all I bought was some tea and walked out. If you start seeing that, that should be raising alarm bells for you to get off your backside and start growing stuff, start planting stuff, start getting stuff going on indoors. Your food supply is now being jeopardized. If they're allowing that much material to come through the grocery market and it's got that much speckled material, if you're in those environments where you're poor in an inner city or a ghetto or a slum, and you start seeing that, start thinking self-sustaining, start thinking autonomy. Okay, you need to start thinking these terms, because if you don't start thinking these terms, you are going to get screwed, because sooner or later that saturation point is going to activate, and the first place majority are going to get corrupted are going to be in the colon, stomach, pancreas, and liver area. That's where they're gonna hit you. Before I go on, I may as well get into this real quick. I'm always talking about the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Give them your support any way you can, anyhow, any way. Help them get the message out. Help them keep their network going. It would only benefit you. Since they're offering the podium and giving you the information, you benefit the most. So give them your support. You got Brian396, ByeByeBlueSky.com, GagCanada.com, all out there, AugmentedForce.com, with information on all these things we talk about today. Check out those sites, get the information, download it, and start getting acquainted. Start thinking in terms of offense. How do I become more offensive with a technology that can override my DNA? How do I block these frequencies? How do I create a barrier in my home? How do I clean the stuff out of my food? How do I remove this out of my body? That's how you need to start to think. My site, there's a catalog link, augmentedforce.com. Feel free to access the catalog. If there's something there that I may be able to help with you, feel free to let me know. We are in those days where you cannot allow yourself the luxury of putting your brains to sleep. Get off your backside, turn off the television, shut down the phone, get with it, start learning things, pick up a book, read. If you can't get it off you don't have the book, get it online. There's I'll give you guys all a link if I can find it. Right, it fell off the earth. Give me a second. Oh, really? All right. Oh, really? Oh, what happened here? Give me a second here. I can't get over this. Aha. See if that one will work. Oh, that's what they okay. Something happened. My computer all day today has been acting up. I think I got an AI troll in my system. There's a Z-Link library, Z-Link library. I would encourage you to go there. If you're looking for books, I would encourage you to go find those books there. You may find some answers that you haven't found before. It may help you with the discovery of knowledge and wisdom and application that, again, you may not have thought about. It's a good place to start. And again, I cannot emphasize enough to get yourself ready. If they bring in that technology, which they're talking about, artificial intelligence operating systems running, three of them running the planet, we are going to be in for one heck of a tough time. And you better understand the nature of frequencies and understand the nature of how these programs are being transmitted through the air. They can actually create antennas now with just using a magnetic field. You don't even need to make an antenna out of cable anymore. A transmitting antenna. So again, if you're not caught up, get caught up. Go in bits and bytes. In the interim, learn things and apply things and build things. The more you learn, the more you build, the better you're going to be. You know, it's just a matter of time. And you'll get it. You'll be an expert in whatever. And being an expert in something doesn't mean you went to school to learn. It means you went and did it and learned from it what it showed you about it. When you're building something, it teaches you what's going on, and you learn how to, whatever it is. That's where you get a degree. People that go to school to get a degree because they can write a test are not experienced, nor are they an expert. They just know how to jump hoops. Anyone that can build something with their own hands and sees the end result of their construction knows what's up and down, and that's the truth. That's the truth. And nobody can take it from you. Nobody can deny you because you have seen it with your own eyes. You know, that's how you got to do it. Tell me why on your independent site has it been showing? Because I haven't been there, Gia. I told you I'm on Podbean, independs.podbean.com. Let's see if I'll give you the link here. Yeah, I got off of that for quite some time. It was giving me problems, and they couldn't get them resolved. So I found this place here, and that'll help you. That'll get you caught up to what's going on. We are, like I said, we're no longer living in, Neverland. We're, well, maybe it's becoming that, who knows. But we're living in, like I said, gory times. And, like I said, preparation is going to be more than just having a gun. It's going to be more than just having some food in the house. It's about understanding how to divert and deflect frequencies from directly hitting your homes, directly hitting you. This is where we're at. This is exactly where we're at. In order to minimize the activation of this nanobiology, you have to understand how to neutralize the assault of these frequencies. All right, we'll see you Thursday. Till then, network. See ya. Hey, I think we're here. Welcome to The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantelleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. Then click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on and make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, save the planet. After all, we all live here. I'm also published at several different sites, byebyebluesky.com. Brian396.com, GagCanada.com, and I also am on YouTube as well. If you get a chance, really check out those sites, learn something about what we're talking about today in regard to nano. Again, check things out. And you'll find me also throughout the internet. I got something I want to point out to everybody right off the bat. I was thinking about something last night. A lot of us are getting the voice-to-head technology hit, right? We're getting voices in our heads, and we're getting frequencies popped in, music popping in, and so forth and so on. And some of the things that are getting popped into your head as a targeted individual or just somebody that's just they're experimenting on can be frightening, can be damn frightening, can be nerve-wracking, can be earth-shaking, it can rattle you. Now, when that happens, start saying, what don't kill you makes me stronger. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Or go one more. I'm just getting stronger and stronger. I am just getting stronger and stronger. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because if they're putting out that much effort to cause that kind of problems, try to rattle your head, try to rattle your resolve, try to shake your confidence, to move you, to cause doubt, cause anxiety, cause stress, to cause traumatic thoughts that just basically deactivate you or shut you down, then that means you offer some kind of significant threat to them. Okay? You, for some reason, are a threat. Every time they hit you, start saying, I'm just getting stronger and stronger. Okay? I'll tell you why. I'm a believer in Christ. I believe in Jesus. I have no bones about telling anybody that, and you can take it or leave it however way you want to walk with that. But I don't care. I believe in Christ. And he said, there's verses in there. He says, you can do all things in Christ who strengthens you. Who strengthens you, right? If you have faith of a mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, "Be gone." And I'm not talking about some prosperity bullshit that you see on these Masonic, Zionist, Masonic horse crap that's on the TV network propagating some kind of horse hockey Christianity. I'm talking about some real deal rubber meet the road reality here. Okay, and when you get hit, and again, if you're a believer, if you believe in God, you believe in Christ, okay, you believe in something more, then you better start putting that faith on and start saying, I'm just getting stronger. See, I got this attitude. It's one of those Mediterranean things. See, God put me through boot camp my whole life. It's always been one thing or another. And what he basically forged in me is an attitude of defiance. And with all of you, you've got to develop that defiance. You shouldn't have to take this crap. Nobody should have to take this crap. But if you are getting hit, then the most defiant thing you can say is, I'm just getting stronger and stronger. See, because the believers believe that when Jesus comes back, we're coming with him, and we're going to be doing some, how do I say this without violating the radio? I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it in eloquence. I can't be eloquent with it, so I won't say it. But anyway, kick butt, take no prisoners. There you go. That's politically correct. Not politically correct. That is a correct way of putting it without going into an extreme here. We're going to be kicking butt and taking no prisoners when he comes back. So all they're doing is fueling the fire. That's how I see it anyway. You're just pissing me off that much more. So when I come back, oh lordy, I'm not taking any names or numbers. It's just going to be one big butt whooping like we've never seen before. And that's how you better start looking at this. And you better start looking at it not because it's going to happen in the future. Start doing it right now. Start doing it right now. Everyone that calls me is calling me because they're afraid. And I understand that. I understand. Everybody that I know that has any value or salt, I shouldn't put it that way. Everybody has value. Everybody has salt. Problem is, nobody takes to that. They allow themselves to surrender that. But anyone who's got a core foundation in them has gone through fire. And when you go through fire, you go through a point where the dross is removed from the gold. In other words, you're going to be purer than gold by the time God is done with us, according to the biblical references. And that means anything that can tether you to this crap hole we call this planet that has been destroyed by the demonics and by these elites and by whatever you want to call them. I have other adjectives and nouns I can use, but they're not allowed to be used on the radio. They have defiled and defecated this planet to death, literally. And that's because we have sat there and not acknowledged our role and our responsibility to say, hey, this is not right. And we didn't take the stand that we should have. So now we're dealing with the aftermath of being quiet. The Simon and Garfunkel song, Sounds of Silence. The silence like a cancer grows. And in the end, they bow down to the neon god they made. That's that AI. That is the AI. They've been telling us this crap for the last 60 years. So when we're looking at what we got to do, when you get hit with a voice-to-head hit, and they're digging in your mind and they're trying to scare the heck out of you with some sort of traumatic, ungodly crap that they pump into your head, just say, I'm just getting stronger and stronger. I am just getting stronger and stronger. Because, baby, when the time comes, oh, lordy, there ain't going to be nothing left of you. When I got first hit with the nano poisoning, like everybody else, I thought I had more gallons, and I don't. But at the time, the voice ahead came in very heavy. Very heavy. Say, oh, you can't win. You just give it up. Lay down. Just die. You're not going to win this. And like I said, God put me through boot camp most of my life. So I've always had this defiant thing. When you tell me I can't do something, or you're going to do something to me, I have this attitude. Well, let's see what you can do, bud. Let's go, kind of thing. So I just basically said, you know what? You and I have an appointed time with our Maker. I'm going to escort your ass to him. And that's what I said, out loud and in my head. Guess what? It left. And you got to start having that resiliency. You got to have that resiliency, okay? See, and we got to start quit using the term human. We are not human, okay? They didn't rip us from our humanity. They ripped us from our godliness. That's what they really ripped us up. They ripped us from our spirit that connected us with God. That's what they did. We're not beasts. I refuse to accept that I'm a beast, and I didn't come from no bloody monkey either. God said, let us make man in our image. Well, what the heck? If we're men and women, I don't see human in that adjective. I don't see a color configuration to that. I just see, black man, white man, red man, yellow man. He said man. So basically, what they've separated us from is our connection with God. That's what they've done. And we've come up with all these stupid adjectives to sort of cover that up. That's what I'm saying. You got to start developing this thing inside. We come from God. God made us. God made our species. So in order for us to maintain a healthy profile, healthy mentality, a healthy emotion, that connection has to be there. If you surrender to this stupidity about everything else that they want to create in us, okay, they came up with this God gene, right? This God gene that they found in people. If you believe in the Bible, you read the Bible, read some holy text, the Quran or the Torah or the book of Golgotha or the book of, or Buddhist teachings or Vedic teachings. They hit you. They're coming after you. Okay, and they're going to try to again create this separation between you and God. And when I first saw this display, you can go on YouTube and look it up. Look up God gene, and you can see. I think it's Bill Gates or one of his cronies talking about how they found this God gene in people's brains and how they could turn it off by doing certain hit with frequencies or vaccines or whatever. And maybe that's why they're trying to give everybody free vaccines, so they can affect the brain, so you can disengage the brains from that part of us that connects to God. Who knows? I'm not quite sure on how that really works. But anyway, the point is, they are afraid of anybody who believes in God. They are afraid. Now, if you don't believe in God, it might not be a bad time to start. Won't hurt you for sure. Might do you some good. That's just my thinking. The concept here, again, because we're talking about health, you can't be in a state of health if you're always in fear. You can't be in a state of health if you're always in doubt. You can't be in a state of health if you're always anxious. You can't be in a state of health if you're always in hate. You can't be in a state of health if you've got this, vindictiveness about you. You're going to get even with somebody. If you're going to get even with the ones who are causing the problems, not the people around you. The people around you are just puppets on the string, and they too are being affected by the same things that are affecting you. The same frequencies and the same voice-to-head technology and the same AI, the same nano-poisoning, the same chemtrails that you're breathing, the same towers, the same cell phones are affecting everybody. And they're activating these technologies in everybody, and everybody's reacting. And when things happen, sometimes you'll hear them all talking like they're parrots, saying the same thing, or all of a sudden they get in line. That's a singularity program running in all of them. So when you understand that, just like I said, repeat continually, I'm just getting stronger and stronger. And you know what? The more you beat me, and this is something I figured out too. I was thinking about this yesterday. When we get broken, we always come back stronger. You ever notice that? That's the gift God gave us. I was always trying to, because I was always mad as blazes at God. I said, God, at least because He gave us an equalizer. I mean, I don't need to be superior to these, but at least, gun for gun, bomb for bomb, laser for laser, frequency for frequency, so we can at least fight back. And then it dawned on me, maybe, I know he gave us something, I couldn't figure out what it was. But every time we get broken, we come back stronger. I mean, look what happened to Jesus. They killed it, they crucified. I mean, they beat literally the hell out of him. 3 days they whipped the stuff out of this guy. Then made him carry his own cross. I mean, and then they spiked him, hung him up on a tree, so he became the curse. They broke him. But look what happened when he came back. He was able to ascend to heaven. He went to the depths of hell. No power. Nothing has any power over him because he was broken. Well, he had to be broken. Then it dawned on me, well, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause me to get in a state of fear. Well, if you break me, I'm just going to come back stronger. When you ever break an arm or you break a leg, that part of the arm and the leg is stronger than the rest of the structure. You ever notice that? My point is this: you got nothing to fear. You've got nothing to fear. Okay? In fact, they're the ones afraid of you. See, I dwell on this stuff all the time because I'm always working at things and doing whatever, and never fails. Never fails. When we're looking at, all the things that happen to us, it's all by design to make us stronger, smarter, wiser, better. And we get afraid of that, and we all do. None of us like going through the fires that, we go through in life. Nobody likes it. I'm one of the biggest, my Mediterranean side comes out very strong when things happen like that. It's like, oh, he's, one of those moments. But the point I'm trying to get is we are all stronger, okay? A lot stronger, and we're getting stronger. Every time they afflict us, every time they affect us, every time they do something to us, every time they try to break us, we will come back stronger. Just come back, when you come back stronger, focused more on what has to be done in regard to getting rid of this crap off of our planet. It doesn't belong here. None of it does. Okay? And none of it needs to be affiliated with us in any way, shape, or form either. If we are in the context that I'm speaking of, made after God's image, after God's own likeness, and we're of the species of mankind, or man, then we need to get to draw to that. And again, I didn't mean just to be any kind of religious thing, because it's not religious. This is really down to earth. This is what's really spiritual. And everybody's talking about bowing down to rocks and stones and sticks and rubbing some sort of crystal, or sticking it up their arse, or doing whatever they're doing with it. But the bottom line is, I don't go to the things that were made. I go to the one who made them. That's my thinking. So anyhow, when we're looking at this stuff and we start thinking in these terms, we need to get back to being connected with each other the way we should, with our Creator, and get rid of this stuff that's caused these problems. You're not going to find an answer in the politician. Politicians didn't get to the top being nice people, and politicians are not nice people to begin with. They will do whatever they got to do to sustain their power. So that rules that out. Don't be looking at any preacher or minister either. If they're on TV, chances are they're Jesuits, they're Masonic, or they're Freemasons, or they're Illuminati, or whatever. Whatever they're preaching on there doesn't work. You may see a sensation across the nation for about maybe a short period of time, and then it's done. So, what we're looking at today, what is the source of the meaning of you may have to look at the etymology and some other reference point, Fiona. It doesn't mean man. It initially may have, but when you add the HU to it, you change its meaning completely. It has nothing to do with mankind at that point. It actually is a denigration of man. That's what it goes down to. And now, we're not only going down to human, now we went to homosexual, bisexual, transgender, and pretty soon hermaphrodite. That's where it's all going to. That's what I mean. It's all the diminishing of terms. So when we're looking at, if you look these things up in other sources, it doesn't just come from one source. The etymology of human is not what it means. Right off the top of my head, I can't tell you where to go look either. Start thinking in terms of godliness or spirit. Yeah. There you go. Start looking at the word godliness or spirit, because that's where we need to connect and reference ourselves to. Okay. Yeah, that's not that's not an accurate definition at all by any stretch of the imagination. What you've got is some, I don't know what you got, to be quite honest with you. Someone in the chat room has got some definition of, maybe out of a dictionary. I don't know where he got it from, but again, that's not what that means. Whatever that is telling you is not accurate. Human is not man. They're not the same. When we're coming up with other concepts, when we're coming up with the concepts of being hit with frequencies, make sure you defy what's going on. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't, just because you got out of 1828 doesn't mean it's an accurate terminology. It is not accurate. You'll have to go look up the term hue, like Starfire was saying. The reference point goes back way further, and it comes from another culture. When we're looking at some of the things that you're getting hit with today with the nano. Okay, how many of you have been feeling mosquitoes? This is October. I'm in the Northeast. We're supposed to be getting, at this point in time, a weather change. I was outside yesterday. I was I was visiting my mom's at her garage, and a mosquito tried to nip me in the ear. This is very unusual in October, and I've heard about the giant mosquitoes and the genetics, but my point is this, that if we're seeing these kind of things happen, and these bugs that are coming around at the wrong time of the year, we're looking at something genetic going on. And I said this a couple years back, that these bugs would all be genetically engineered, and they are. And if they bite you, you can get deathly sick. There's some kind of disease going on in some of the states now where kids are getting paralyzed. It might be coming from a bug they call no-see-em. I don't know if you ever heard the term, but these are tiny little bugs. They're very small. You can't see them, and they could, again, when they bite you, they release their saliva with the enzymes and proteins. So, again, they could be getting afflicted with this. They could be getting afflicted with something in the air. But the point is this, when we're looking at today's time, I get questions all the time asking me, what can I take? What do I need? How do I take what? So the point today is we are not living in an environment that can say everyone's living under the same environment. You're all being hit with different things. People in Florida, we just got hit with that tornado, are going to need a whole bunch of different things, different than somebody maybe in California who's not got hit with anything. But the people in California are getting hit with high doses of frequencies and what are they, scalar waves, EMFs, terahertz frequencies that are causing problems. How do you guys suppose AI manifests itself before the technology? It's always been here. Fiona, it's always been here. Even biblically, when you look at the term abyss, the abyss is referring to something that was already here, an intelligence that was already here. The oceans was the ways and means that information was being transported across the planet. The trees, if you actually look at them, they're transferring devices. They transfer information through the air. They're antenna. They are made of carbon. Carbon is a conductor. Look around you. Everything is here that you see has some capacity to transfer frequency. You're transferring frequencies all the time. Your DNA is a frequency activator. It can receive and transmit at the same time. Well, if you look again, I'm looking at a biblical reference with this singularity. When you're looking at in the days of Nimrod, Nimrod, they already had something along those lines then. They were all walking in unison. They didn't have to speak. They knew what to do. They knew how to communicate. This is all programming that was running through all of them. So this has been around on more than one occasion. There is a text. I don't know if you can find it. I had a book that was called Prehistory, and in the book they talked about artificial intelligence in Greece. Greece had 5 units like Sophia that they had developed, that they had set in different parts of the country where you could go and talk to this thing and ask it any question you wanted to ask it, and it would give you a response. They all of a sudden they shut it down. They don't give you any reference to as to why. I can imagine why, because Facebook had something similar. They had 2 AI talking to each other, and they started developing their own language. As a result, they shut it down. The whole artificial intelligence thing that's going on the planet is already taken over the planet. It's running your military, it's running your electricity, it's running your water filtration, it's running your warehouses, it's running your just-in-time units, it's running everything. You look at the stock market. If you go on and look on any stock market channel, you don't see 29,000 guys carrying 3 and 4 phones and 5 phones at a time anymore. Okay? Maybe a Starfire. It could have been a tree. You got to remember, carbon has always been here too, in the shape of diamonds or coal or even petrified wood. These are all different forms of carbon. So when we're looking at some of the elements that are here on the planet, they're a lot more sophisticated and more intelligent than we were back in the day. Okay, back in the day. So, Rick, I'll tell you something. That's not accurate. I don't care what that thing's saying. That is not accurate at all. Adam means man, doesn't mean human. That's what Adam actually means, man. So I'm not sure what version that is you're reading, who put that out. If it was the same people that put out the NIV, I would throw it away. Because they had people that put out the NIV put out the same satanic Bibles as well. So I wouldn't even bother with that thing. But that's not what the word Adam means. It means man. That's what actually the word means. That's what Adam actually means. Yep. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have been here before, and we're just sort of discovering them. But when we're looking at some of the technology that's here today, like the pyramids, when you look at some of the shapes and things that they made, they all had something to do with energy, transference of energy, communication networks, whatever. So the slaves in the past, we even looked at the concept of grains in the past. How the Egyptians had, for instance, their slaves, and they fed them what? Grains. They gave them grains and garlic, because grains kept them stupid and garlic kept them strong. When you actually look at that whole chemistry there and what was going on. So we're not really getting any kind of nothing's new under the sun. Nothing. This has been done before and many times. And I believe every civilization has reached a certain apex. They brought it down, one means or another. So we're looking at a lot of the things today and assessing today what we're dealing with. That's how you form a game plan in what to eat, how you should be eating, what things you should be supplementing yourself with, and what kind of compromises do you have. Are you compromised? You say you got a weak heart, you got a weak liver, you got a weak digestive system, do you have a weak respiratory system? Is your brain not functioning correctly? Is the communication network between the brain and the cells not talking? That's how you start thinking in terms of how to deal with what we're dealing with. All right, come on back. We're going to get into this further. Hey, we are back to the remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantellerusco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Um, we're living in some times, and in dealing with health today, we're going to have to be looking at how and what we're being afflicted with. I don't even believe today that half the diseases, if any of them anymore today, are even just pathologies. I think the majority of the diseases that are hitting everybody today are nothing but operating systems or programs that have been implanted in people or have been triggered by frequencies. That's how I'm seeing things today. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have said that, but today I can, or today I do, because I've seen what has happened just in my own personal experiences. And when I see things activate and deactivate all the time in regard to keeping somebody in a state of affliction, that's a program. To me, that's an operating system running its program. Yeah, I don't, Rick. I don't. When the Bible says that everyone's going to see the end there, the Antichrist or whatever, I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be through the technology that we currently have today. I think it's all going to be piped right into everybody's head. With the amount of nanobiology, nanotechnology, smart sensors, smart dust, smart tags that we all have, we don't. I can see that the beams being directed. They're talking. We got an AI system right now, operating system AI, that is in the United States. Okay, it's operating at petaflop speeds, 50 million functions per second. China's going to have one in 2020. The U.S. is going to have a third one by 2021. That much power with all these 5Gs and 6G, because 6G, China's working on 6G right now. Okay, people don't realize that everyone's worried about 5G. We should be thinking about 6G. Excuse me, 6G, because 6G is being worked on right now. When we're talking this type of power transmissions going on, and I was watching another guy talking about how they're pumping up frequencies directly into the sky, which then causes a cascading effect across the air as well. It's conceivable that not only will you see it in your head, but I think you'll be seeing it in the eye as well, up in the sky as well. So I think today, so when we're talking this technology, okay, I mean, it even says in the end that even the elect might be deceived because it's going to be that realistic. When you watch Star Trek The Next Generation, you see the holodeck and the hologram, and they're creating all these holodeck events, and and they're all nothing but holograms, but they're very real and they're very interactive. That's what goes on in your brain. When they showed you that hologram and that holodeck in Star Trek The Next Generation, that's your head. That's what they're going to be pumping into your head, where you're not going to be able to see or know the difference. So this is why it's important that you start thinking in terms of, how do I get this tech out of my body? How do I get the nano out of my head? How do I get the nano out of my tissues? How do I get the nano out of my organs? How do I get these transmitters out of my gut? Got smart dust, smart sensors, smart tags. They're all inside of you, and they've embedded in the lining of your stomach, your intestinal tract, your intestinal walls, and probably have translocated to other parts of your body, legs, arms, whatever. So, yeah, exactly. So, we have to start thinking in those terms. The future of health and the future of our sanity, if you will, is going to be able to understand the nature of these frequencies and how they can impact and penetrate and permeate into your cells. Nanopoisoning is one of the best and easiest ways they've done it. And if you do any research on nanobiology, nanotechnology, synthetic biology, all these nanoparticles they all are transmitting at a terabyte data stream at a time. That's a lot of information for one particle that's 1/1000th of a meter, and you've got hundreds of thousands of them in a cell. So it wouldn't take much for a transmission to go through the body and cause this kind of visual or sound or whatever. We're all hearing sounds all the time. We're hearing high pitches, low hums, buzzing noises, hissing sounds, whatever. That's blue beam technology in sound. When you're hearing all these high-pitched frequencies, they are basically programming you with the blue beam in those frequencies. So, we have to start thinking in a whole different paradigm today that we never thought about before, because it's not just that you get a cancer. The cancer is the end result of being overloaded in a way your body can no longer purify or clear itself. If I hit you with a terahertz frequency, it goes right through the skin. You don't see any visible damage, but internally it causes mayhem to the body. So when we're looking at what's going on today, what. This is the thing everybody tells me. I've done everything right. I've eaten stuff. I've eaten organic. I've done this. I've done that. I've eliminated this. I've eliminated that. And I still got cancer. Why is that? Do you have a cell phone? Are you near a tower? Do you have a device that's around you that's using Wi-Fi? That could be one of the reasons why you're having the problems, because you're constantly being exposed to high levels of frequency or radiation that is causing cellular decay and DNA decay. And then on top of that, you're being infected with nano poisoning or nanomaterials. So when you start looking at it from a completely different angle, you won't just start thinking in terms anymore in regard to, I got this, I got that, I got whatever. So, okay, another instance, I don't know how it will be, just that it will be, and he'll split the eastern sky and every eye will see him. Again, Rick, it's the same thing. If Christ is coming back, he could transmit himself into your head. You know he's here, Oh, there he is. We'll know he's here when he comes back. So, my point here on this tonight's show primarily is to get you to start thinking and preparing yourself, shielding your body, shielding your homes, creating deflective material that can deflect these frequencies back out where they came from. Protect yourself by, again, neutralizing the nano in the food supply as much as you can. I'm constantly working morning, noon, and night on this thing as well. Others are too. Everyone's coming up with answers and solutions. I'm working with another colleague and friend out in the East Coast. So he's coming up with some stuff as well to using different types of biology and chemistry to try to neutralize this nano insanity we're dealing with. I got other people also looking at different things as well. Everybody who knows what's going on today is looking at this thing from a whole different angle and is realizing the nature of these programs and how they cause mayhem. So number one, if you're a targeted individual and you're getting hit with frequencies, chances are it's because you've got a high saturation content in your system and you may be loading the system up more and more. This is why I say don't use the spooky or the ripe. We had an incident with a woman who did use the spooky, and it hyper accelerated the evolution of the nano poisoning to a point where she had all kinds of lesions, not only lesions, but she had internal overgrowth going on. And they were targeting her mind morning, noon, and night. They weren't letting her sleep when she was tired and make her wake up. They were putting things into her head. They were causing all kinds of hellish visuals to appear in her mind because it had it took off on her because she used these devices. And I'm telling you, if it's a frequency, if it's a direct hit on this technology, it will come back and bite you in the ass. Because these things learn very quickly, adapt, and then counter. Just like a virus. They're designed like a virus and a bacterium in that program. So when we're looking at some of the things that we're dealing with today, we've got to start thinking, okay, I'm going to go out and grow a garden. Am I going to grow a garden outside now? No, I'm going to grow one on the inside and keep it covered up as much as I can so that I minimize any exposure from that technology. Tony, if you were to go somewhere in nature, middle of nowhere, with no cell reception Wi-Fi, will that make it harder for the AI to access you and send frequencies to you? No. Unfortunately, Sam, your DNA is an antenna. And it sends out frequencies and receives frequencies. And with the amount of nano inside your body, you could be in the most isolated area on the planet and they could find you. Unless you're inside a cave that has copper, iron, or lead in it, that would be the only way they wouldn't be able to find you. You'd have to be in an area that would be shielded with enough material to block the high and low frequencies. Copper and iron do that. Aluminum and iron do that. Lead is just a very heavy material that frequencies have a hard time getting through. But if you were in some place like a solid material where it was loaded with those materials, it would be very difficult to access you. So you either have to be underground or in a cave, literally. Or in a shielded environment that you create that you can create in your own home. Or in a place of refuge. Let's say you decided to bug out. You're bugging out and you decide, I'm done, I'm taking off, I'm going out to the middle of, whatever. So you got your little trailer and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and so you decided that you're going to squat in some land. The first thing I would do is put up reflective material all around my unit so that whenever the sun was shining, it would reflect whatever's around me so it would blend perfectly in with the environment, number one. Number two, my units would be either lead lined or shielded with aluminum and iron. So that, again, frequencies would have a very hard time accessing me. The windows would all be covered up with the same kind of materials as long as I wasn't moving. And again, everything would be reflective. Number three, I'd probably be running some kind of field inside, a small field, to deflect any possible leakage or that might be as a result of the unit to again cause more shielding. And number four, I would again start looking at the foods that I'm eating and the things I'm drinking and start to neutralize these things or have pre-neutralized so that when I'm eating these things I don't increase the intensity of the frequency. But you'd have to come up with something that doesn't allow you to leave a footprint. A bunker, a silo, a cave, someplace far enough down where the frequencies, because they could use HARP to find different things at different depths, but it has a problem with certain materials to go around. The shungite that they talk about is a carbon silica material. It's a carbon C60 material. Now, if it's around you, it may deflect the material, deflect the frequencies. Don't consume it, don't wear it, don't have it against your skin. We have a man cave, now women have a she cave. Well, maybe. I think when that time comes, there won't be a man cave or a she cave. It'll be just a cave, and everybody will be working together to get to do what's required to maintain and sustain. Aluminum and iron. If you take aluminum and iron, they create a shielding effect of high and low frequencies. So there you go. So when we're talking what to do, these are the ways that you might want to start thinking. Tony, just build a UFO and come pick us all up. That's been the problem, Starfire. Everybody's looking for an alien to come save us. I'm of the mindset if an alien comes and saves us, we are owned by these aliens. And that's been the problem with our thinking. We've allowed everything under the sun to come and own us. I think it's maybe time that we stood up for ourselves and not be owned by anybody. That's just my thinking. I don't have a problem with God coming back to save us because we come from Him in the first place. But aliens are a whole different ballgame with me. I have no use for them, none. So I don't believe in good or bad aliens either. I have a whole different thinking on that one. Yeah, so as far as creating a UFO, seriously, Starfire, that's too much like work. If anything, I'd want to open up a portal and go to another planet where it's cleaner. None of this crap on there. That's just a whole different thing. That's just my thinking, my escape. Start thinking in terms of where we're at today. 2018 we are at, not 1918. When you can take out an old musket or whatever gun you had, one shot deal and you were done. So start thinking that we are no longer living with the one-shot deal, unless you got one major EMP shot that you could fire up into the atmosphere that would shut everything down, and that would basically take the planet out too. We're not going to be able to do that unless, again, well, I shouldn't say not be able to do it. You never know. Somebody may come up with a great idea to turn this whole thing off, and that would be perfect. Think stripping. Now, what I mean by stripping, I don't mean taking off your clothes and doing any kind of dances on a bar. I mean stripping. Taking stuff out of your body, remove stuff, detox, strip the stuff out of you, and at the same time, whatever ways and means you can figure out. You can use the techniques I have put out there, the techniques Brian 396 has put out there. There's some other people out there who've got also some pretty good techniques. Whatever you fancy, use daily or at least regularly to keep it under control, to keep it sustained and maintained so you're not getting worse. Your mental faculty should be a priority in maintaining your brain. You need to think. You need to know how to think. As one comedian said, you can think before they make it illegal. It's not illegal yet. So again, think, read, experiment. I'm encouraging you all to experiment. You have to experiment. Just because you read a book doesn't mean it's right. Or just because you read the text doesn't mean you understand it. Test it. Experiment. Get your hands dirty, up to your elbows. Catch on fire once or twice. You'll learn things from that. You know what I mean? Experiment. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. If it breaks you, you'll come back stronger. You'll come back smarter. Okay? You'll come back stronger. You'll come back smarter. You'll come back wiser. That's the nature of this show today, is to tell you, don't be afraid. Take a step out. Take a walk on the wild side and see what you can discover. You never know. You might be the one to solve the problem. You might be the one that God has chosen to give the answers to everybody. You never know. But you'll never know if you sit there on your backs and say, whatever it is you say. It can be done. All it takes is a face of a mustard seed. It can be done. That's all it takes. Face of a mustard seed. You'd be surprised what you can achieve, okay? And you know what? Having fear is not necessarily a bad thing. It's when it controls you. That's the problem. Like I said, they're going to get into your head, and they're going to cause all kinds of fear and anxiety. And you're going to, and then you're going to oh, man. And whatever it is you say or whatever things come out of your mouth, and then you're going to feel like, and then you feel like, what? And then you just wilt right down. Just say, just even say it even now when I'm here talking to you on this show. I'm just getting stronger and stronger. Or I'm just getting wiser and wiser. I'm just getting smarter and smarter. Just say that. I mean, when you get these things coming into your head, realize if you're being assaulted, if you're being experimented on, that means they're trying to control your thoughts to a point where they start doing the thinking for you through a device. Have a little defiance in you. Have a little testicular fortitude and say, I'm just getting stronger. And that goes for you women too. Have a little testicular fortitude. Can you imagine that? I think most women have more testicular fortitude than some of the guys I met. Some have more than I do. Like, whoa. Seriously, just when you get this, say this. Oh, yeah, definitely. Sam, you're correct. Tony, the more I detox myself and get myself on the right track, the harder it seems the AI tries to hit me. Well, the Bible says, he who departs from evil makes himself a prey. The more you get away from this bloody thing, the more it's going to want to get you back. It's going to come after you, of course, because it no longer has you in control. So again, you know, we are all going to be hearing things, noises, pitches, shrills, shrieks, hums, buzzes. Sometimes you hear a voice. Sometimes you see imagery pop in your head. I get that stuff all the time. They're always trying. I'm doing some research on something. I find something. Oh, look at this. Next thing I know, I got all kinds of crazy thoughts coming in my head. I said, where the hell did that come from? You know. Then I realize, oh yeah, it's AI trying to distract me. Then it tries to find the fear thing. Okay, like I said, it goes to the right side of the brain. It's looking for how it can make you afraid. That's where it's going to go, especially with you women. You women are going to hit you in a place where whatever frightens you, it's going to hit you. So basically, when it does hit you there, if you can remember these words, if the fear doesn't overwhelm you, because it might, first couple of times it will, then don't worry about that. That means it's got it round 1, 2, and 3. It's the one who wins the 10th round is the winner. Just remember that. So when if you can get to that point, say, you know, I'm just getting stronger and stronger, bud. I'm just because if they're using anybody that does what do you call that? If you use any kind of sort of synthetic telepathy, you just send it right back. I'm just getting stronger and stronger. I am just getting stronger and stronger. I'm just getting smarter and smarter. I'm just getting wiser and wiser. You'd be surprised how that'll emancipate you. Just saying those few words. Okay, before I go on, the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network, give them your support. Help them any way you can. Give them what you can and help them if you can in any way, shape, or form to keep them going, keep them flowing. What do you say? You got ByeByeBlueSky.com, GagCanada.com, Brian396.com, and AugmentedForce.com. Sites that can help you get on top and stay on top. Can educate you, can inspire you, we hope, and hopefully you can come up with better answers than we're showing you. So check out the sites, check them all out, see what you can do, help them any way you can as well. My site, I have a catalog link there at augmentedforce.com. Feel free to access the site. If you need a consultation, if you need something from the catalog, let me know, see what we can do, see what we can work out. You can contact me here at 519-977-5351 or independs at yahoo.com. INDEPENDZ at yahoo.com. Yeah, anytime anybody is drawing to the Creator, drawing to God, drawing to the Father, you know, however way you address God, and you're trying to do the right thing, it's going to come at you like blazes, guns and blazes, because the new God, the neon God that they made, they want us to bow to. And we all have a bit of a defined aspect to us that we'll only bow down to one living God. That's it, no other. So if you've got that concept going, again, and you're trying to do the best you can to live the life that you think is godly, holy, or spiritual, then it's going to create distractions. You might have sex come into the picture. You might have drugs come into the picture. You might have entertainment come into the picture. You might have violence come into whatever it is. Wherever your fight is in your spiritual walk, that's where it's going to hit you. At that point, even though you may not feel it, I'm just getting stronger and stronger. I'm just getting wiser and wiser. I'm just getting better and better. Whatever works for you, use it. Use it, use it, use it. Like I said, I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking, every time I do something, this thing tries to cause this or that to happen to me, and I think, you know what? And I got mad. I got ticked off with this thing. It's like, man, because I can't see it to punch it. So, and God keeps telling me, not by might nor by power, but by the Spirit, says the Lord. And I'm still trying to figure that out sometimes. Sometimes I don't get all this either. But anyway, I thought, you know what? I'm just getting stronger and stronger. I was just that peeved. I'm just getting strong, man. So I'm just getting stronger because I had these thoughts in my head, other thoughts, what I would do to this thing if I had a chance. I just kept saying, I'm just getting stronger and stronger, bud. I'm just getting stronger and stronger. And you know what? It started to back off. And I realized, hey, look at that. So take the power. That's the power that God gave you, period. And if you do falter and if you do break, don't worry about it. You'll come back stronger. Okay? That's the gift That is the gift I think that God gave all of us. As we break, we come back stronger. I didn't realize it until, I mean, it's taken me only 6 decades to figure this out. So I'm a little slow here. But if we break, we come back stronger. We'll come back wiser. We'll come back smarter. We'll come back. You don't learn this in churches. You're just taught you go through trials and tribulations, but you don't get that full gist of why that happens. I never understood, why does God have to put me through all this? He knows what I'm going to do before I do it anyway. That doesn't make any sense. It didn't correlate, but now I get it. It took a while, but I get it. Because when we're broken, we come back better. When we're broken, we come back stronger. We come back wiser. We come back smarter. We just come back. And that's the gift. And if you get that, and again, I don't mean to sound like a preacher, because I'm not a preacher type. I just see things, and this all ties to health, believe it or not. It may not seem like it, but it really does. When you get it, if you get that, you'll get it. And when you get it, it's going to give you a confidence, it's going to give you a faith, it's going to give you a foundation. Because now you understand the ultimate game here that God has is to make you better than what you are. To make you smarter than what you are, to make you wiser than what you are. I think that's why I got the brains I've got, because through all this time God was doing all this, and I didn't know what He was doing. Like, what the heck? Anyway, that's what I kept thinking all the time. What the is going on? And that's how it worked with me. But anyway, think of that, especially if you're targeted, especially if you're hearing these bloody frequencies all the time, or whatever you're hearing. I'm just getting stronger and stronger. I'm just getting better and better. I am just coming. I'm going to be great, or not great, but you know what I mean? I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to be wise. I'm going to be able to deal with you in ways you can't imagine. I'm going to deal with you. I'm going to take care of you in ways you won't want me to. All right. See you next week.